Recording. Welcome, welcome. Jay and Ken and Lisa Marie and others who pop in later and drop in by recording. Hey, there's Christina. Outstanding. Welcome, Christina. I've got I want to open it up to any questions that you all have before I get into my own agenda. And I've got a little item to share with you today. So let me put the floor open and just tell me what you'd like to focus on first, and then we'll get to the subject of the day.
Jim, the only thing I'm thinking about right now is putting together a business plan. So I'm kind of looking, and we'll be looking in the future for some advice regarding the best way to create the business plan.
Okay, and that's the business plan for your speaking business or for the other?
Well, yeah, and so that's kind of part of the business plan. I'm putting together a multitude of things. So what it will look like at the end is the fact that we'll be putting together a registered investment advisor business along with the speaking, along with consulting, along with teaching. So that's the big plan.
Tremendous. Well, yeah, excuse me. I can give you more guidance on that later.
Yep.
As a quick start, whenever I'm doing a sketch for a new business, first thing I do is primary purpose. What am I trying to do? And if it's break free from fidelity and build a base you can shift to and have all your financial needs met, then that would be primary purpose. If it's not, then it'd be however else you choose to articulate that. And so then primary purpose, and then you start looking at moving parts. What are all the elements that could play a role in this? So, Lisa Marie, you'd be looking at your gift business, and you'd be looking at your consulting and training business and speaking and, whatever else, Ziegler certified. And then, of course, Jay, the same thing, and Christina, same thing. Just moving parts, because when you've got them all on one page, then with the purpose being your why, it makes sense out of the what. So my moving parts, the China Academy, my new book with Victor Antonio, the Relationship Selling 2024, Experts Academy and Summit, the mentorship Going Pro, my speaker book and the training that goes with that, Acorns to Oak Trees, the video course. I've got all those and many more things as moving parts. And so when I put them all on one page, I can see this one helps that one, helps that one, helps that one. Nice. This one is an orphan. Okay, we'll keep it over here. And so I'm able to line things out. But what you want to do is create a harmonic convergence. That was an astronomical term used years ago when they were talking about all the planets aligning. And that's when you're practicing what Nito Kubain calls intentional congruence. And years ago, I went to North Carolina, pardon my voice, not ill, but evidently have some kind of a allergy reaction. But I went to North Carolina, bought a day of Nito Kubain's time, and he just focused all his attention on me. And we looked at everything I did, speaker, trainer, author, coach, etc., and put it all on paper and then wove it together so that everything helped everything else. And I was not doing mailings or promotions that were dead ends. And then every time I made a sale in any of these fields, I'd look at that process, kind of like a funnel, and before the days of funnels, and I'd think, okay, at the end of that process, what's next? Where do they go? Are we done? Do we just shake hands and wave goodbye? Or does this open up new options for them? And if it does, they ought to be treated like family now and not like strangers like it in the first place, right? So you'll notice that one of the ways that I've structured my own services is whatever a person spends with me is considered a deposit on the next thing they spend with me. So nobody loses what they've spent so far. So like if you spent $99 on the Acorns to Oak Trees videos, then that 99 applies as a discount on whatever else you do with me. If you spent $2,500 on let's say a mastermind retreat in Austin, and you want to upgrade to the Going Pro 3-month process, then you're already 2,500 into it. So I'm making it cumulative for people, and that allows me to treat them like family, and it allows them to feel like there's no point where Jim's just in it for the upsell. Because that's the biggest complaint people are getting these days for these, like Russell Brunson and Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and whoever else. Hey, how are you? Thank you for your $5,000. Now, if you really want our attention, sign up for our $15,000. You had your hand up, Lisa.
I did, and you and I've talked about this before. They're on my wall as IPAs, income producing activities.
Yeah.
But you had a different. What was yours? I can't remember. For some, excuse me.
Monetize. Previously, I had MMA, money making activities.
That's what you had. That's what you had. Okay. Okay.
But right now, the word for the year is MONETIZE. And I've got it stuck on my computer screen. So every day I look at what I'm doing and I think, Jim, is this going to result in income? Are you going to pay off somebody or do a nice thing for someone else? If not, might want to rethink. There you go. Jay, chime in here and share a little pearl of wisdom. Any questions, any particular items that you'd like us to focus on? You're muted.
Yeah, I got 2 things for you, Jim. One, share a little bit of good news. Can I share my screen for a second?
Please, absolutely.
Okay. See if I can find this. Hold on, give me one moment. Okay, so share screen.
Luxury firm mattress. Oh, there you go. Oh, you did it.
I did it.
Wow, good for you.
The last talk you gave me, Jim,
Yep.
I said, you know what? I wasn't sure that I could make a marriage work, but after hearing what you said, I actually talked about it with her. We spoke for an hour, all your points. I went over everything. She agreed with it fully. I thought, you know what? I can do this. And I proposed to her.
God bless you. Good for you.
Thank you, Jim.
Bravo. That's awesome.
The second thing I have for you
Yep.
is, as you and I talked about when we first met, one of my dreams is to have a #1 toy in the country, like a Beanie Baby or Pokemon or Pet Rock.
Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll date me.
And I've come close to doing that. We had something that hit number 42, and then we sold out of everything on Amazon. And that could be something I do. But I think I need to get it in major chain stores like Target and Walmart. And it's notoriously hard to get meetings with these buyers. And I thought, Jim's not going to really know anything about this, but I thought, you know what? There's not a lot Jim doesn't know. So let me ask him if he has a strategy to help me connect with the buyers of these stores, which everybody wants to connect with, to get a presentation to them so I can show them what I have.
The way I go about a big deal like that is I try to soften the landing. You know, I metaphorically put some pillows out there to land on when I make the jump. And the way I do that is I create attention toward either me or my product or something else I've done or whatever that I can use as the starting point for a new discussion. And sometimes I do it with information about them, but other times it'll just be something I know or do or have done or someone I know, whatever, to get that door more open. So it could be a press release. It could be, and I don't mean something you mail to only one individual. I mean, create some noise in the marketplace and use that noise as your hook. And I just do that as a confidence builder for me, because I hate going into a situation and having no justification for the call other than wanting to make a sale. So I want to think, you know, can we talk about something we're both fascinated by, or how can I help? Because selling is helping for pay, right? So I want to find something about them that kind of blows them away that I know it, or that, you know, there's some sort of a hook. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I mean, how do you actually
Starting
get an appointment with the buyer? Because it's so hard to even, like, these are the guys who buy for the entire chain of Target or Walmart. And
Well,
to even get,
What have you done so far, Jay?
well, I'm not at the point where I really have a product that I want to show them yet. I'm just gearing up for the point when I do have that.
Okay, so you hadn't done anything, you hadn't made any phone calls or sent anything yet, right?
Nothing yet, no.
Okay.
Okay, so if I were you, I mean, Walmart's right across the bridge. Everybody wants to get into Walmart, but here's the deal. There's lots of gatekeepers. So you have to make sure that you don't have just one thing. I'm just going to make a phone call, and if I don't get the phone call, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
You have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And start with the biggest pie in the sky. And I typically will mail them something. And I've used this before. I think I've shared this before. At one time, I had 11 different lines, and I did want to get into some big buyers. And one of those lines was pecans and candies, tins. Where you open the tin, it's assortment of pecans and
I'll
candies.
take two.
And, yeah, and I would wrap it up and say the box was this big. I would put a bow on it that outweighed the size of this, and then put it in another box. So it grabs your attention when you open it, okay? Now, you might get nowhere with that, but let that be the big one. And then I do a handwritten note. I'm all about handwritten notes and things like that. And then an email, whatever it might be, but have 4 or 5 things that you're doing, okay? And then your name is going to, oh, is there still trying to get a hold of me? But too many people I have found make that one call or send that one email, don't get anywhere. Well, I tried. No, you really didn't. And when you do get them, find one question to ask them that they will have to respond yes to. For instance, a friend of mine was selling disinfectants and cleaning supplies for hotels and things like that. You want to ask them something like, don't you want all your rooms, whatever it might be, to be clean and appealing to your customers, whatever that might be. But you know they're going to say yes, and think really hard about that question, because the questions are where you will win them over.
Yeah.
Does that help?
That definitely helps. So when I get closer, I'm going to probably pick your brains again.
Sure.
I'm reading a book called Never Split the Difference. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
I have not.
It's by an FBI, former FBI person. He gives seminars all across the country. And he says you want to ask a question that gets them to say no, because people don't like to say yes, because it always gets them in trouble when they say yes. but they're used to saying no as a defense mechanism. So if you can reframe the question so that the no really means yes, like, would you mind if I called you tomorrow? No, I don't mind. As opposed to like, can I call you tomorrow?
Yeah.
Saying yes is psychologically difficult sometimes. So you have to-
Okay.
yeah, so
What, what's the guy's name on that book?
God, I forgot his name. Christina, you're muted.
Chris Voss, VOSS.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Chris-
of course, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, I know him.
Really?
Yeah. I held an event at Sherwood Country Club in Thousand Oaks, and he came to that, and that's where we first met. It was something to do with the Los Angeles chapter of the National Speakers Association.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that helps.
Yeah.
I literally just got an emergency phone call. I'm gonna have to go for 5 minutes. I'll be back.
Okay, and I'm going to give some answers that relate to you in your absence. So be sure and watch the replay.
I'll be
Okay,
back in 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
got it. Years ago, when I came out with the book, The Acorn Principle, I was known in the marketplace for relationship selling. And I didn't want to be. I wanted to expand my brand awareness, and I wanted to be known as the Acorn Principle guy and be a bigger solution. And so I did a lot of research. I took all of my concepts before the book was even finished, and I went to philosophers, psychologists, psychiatrists, preachers in different churches, scientists, and a number of other people. And I said, here are the concepts. Give me your feedback. And so I got all that, and it sort of validated my content. And I, of course, made some changes. And then I reconfigured my company logo, and I put the acorn into it. And I've been through 2 or 3 iterations of that before I came up with the current one that has the person emerging from the acorn. And I've been with that one forever, and I love it. I also designed that. I'll show you on this. Just a second. I'm going to do a screen share. I designed the tree. Just a second. You'll see it right here. You know, the organizational chart tree. And that tree became a logo that I used and a training tool that I used, talking about a business as a living system. Let me scoot this over. There's the one I'm looking for. There. You see it okay? Okay. So where does the tree come from? Acorn. What does the tree produce? Acorns. What does that have to do with business? And this detailed wall chart describes that whole concept. Then I found, this is not it, but I found a source for chocolate acorns this big, hollow on the inside with little chocolate squirrels inside. Very clever. And it came in a tiny little crate, a little wooden box, and it was sitting on straw. So it made a really nice presentation, and it was coated in foil. And of course, everybody can eat it, right? Of course, it's going to be gone after that, but it'll leave an impression. So I bought, I don't know, 30 of those, maybe more. And we boxed them up real nicely, put handwritten notes inside, and sent them to the top speakers bureaus in America. And the outside packaging was such that I was certain it was going to make its way past the gatekeepers, because every speakers bureau and every publisher and every purchasing department has gatekeepers. And the gatekeepers, interestingly enough, are not enlightened people. They're beginners. They're college students that just went to work in the real world. You know, they're other people that have minimal orientation in their field, I mean, and the people that are reading and screening manuscripts for major publishers are just English majors. They're not people that know publishing. Their boss said, look, here's a checklist. You know, if it mentions a dog, that's good. If it mentions chainsaws, that's bad. If it's in blue, that gets 3 points. You know, now read. And that's about how things go. And that's why people get rejected so much by purchasing agents, by publishing agents, and by speakers bureaus. So I sent those out to the bureaus, and there's a backstory on that too. And I thought, this is going to kill it. I'm going to get flooded with calls and messages from all these top bureaus. And so I did also this. I created this little pamphlet to go with the book. And you can see I spent some money doing this right. Okay. And this pamphlet, it's a long form advertisement basically for the Acorn Principle, but it's got all my key points that I want to cover in a seminar or a speech in it. And it's nice enough that if you wanted to, you could charge for it, which I did. Not much, but like $3 or something like that back then. And it's got all my contact information on the back. It's got testimonials throughout. Here's one from Peter Meissen, president of Global Energy Network. Here's one from Vince Lombardi Jr., Jack Canfield, Stephen Covey, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, you know, that Dennis Waitley. So heavy credential item, right? So I sent this out to the bureaus separate from the chocolate acorns. I also made up bookmarks for the book that had not only contact information and distinctions of what is the Acorn Principle, but a list of all the major names that had endorsed the Acorn Principle and the books they had written. And then I went around, I traveled with a stack of these. And when I went into airports, I went into the bookstores in the airport and gave them a small stack of bookmarks to put into the books because they didn't have their own at the time, or at least not many of them had their own. And so it was before airport bookstores got very sophisticated. Now it's all a big system, kind of like Barnes and Noble. You got to get into the pipeline and go through buyers. You got to go through same kind of process. And your toys will probably, assuming their size is reasonable, probably want to be in those stores, right? So anyway, I did all those things. And then I sent out these chocolate acorns. And then I started calling the bureaus and talking to the agents I knew by name. And everything I had done reinforced that same logo, that same look, that same overall message. And I sent the poster, the wall poster of the tree in a rolled up tube, sent that to the bureaus, sent it to all my past clients. So man, I was bombarding the marketplace with my new product. And sure enough, it worked. Quick story on the backstory on the chocolate acorns. None, not one, reached a speakers bureau. There was a young woman working for me, an Iranian, Persian, Iranian immigrant. Her name was Nilufar Kamdar. And Nilufar was a sweetheart. And she worked with me for a year and a half, I guess. And she saw the business growing and saw how everything was coming together. And she could see that this was going to start paying off big time. And so she and I sat with others and packaged all these chocolate acorns, got all the labels on the boxes, got all the postage on the boxes. And we were in the same city block as the La Jolla post office. And I said, okay, I'm going to take them over there now. She said, I'll do that. So she takes all the boxes. A week goes by. I hadn't heard a word. another week is beginning. And I said, wait a minute. So I started calling some of the bureaus. Hey, did my box get there? No, hadn't seen anything. Huh. Okay. Finally, and it took some pulling teeth to get Neelafar to tell me this. She said, Jim, I threw them in a dumpster. I said, what? And she said, I knew that this was going to really be a big hit and it was going to get you lots of attention. And I had a panic attack and I threw them all in a dumpster. And I said, before I say you're fired, please help me understand. Where are you coming from? She said, you know, I'm from Iran. I said, yeah. She said, well, when I was a young girl, my father was a doctor and he was a well-known and well-respected doctor in Iran. And he had become somewhat famous. And one day in the middle of the night, the Republican Guard or whatever the heck they called their police, you know, their SS, came and dragged my dad out of the house, kicking and screaming. And we never saw him again. And I was afraid that if you got really, really well known and visible, that something awful might happen to you. So she was in her heart trying to protect me, although she had suspended all rational thought in the process. So, you know, I couldn't trust her after that. And I helped her, you know, get a soft landing moving on. But good Lord, what a bizarre situation. And wow, you know. Okay.
Now, I have heard a lot of your stories. I
Yeah.
have never heard that one. Wow.
Yep.
And you did say they were filled with chocolate, right?
Yeah,
That's close to a capital offense right there. Just
I know.
because it's
It
chocolate.
is. If it had been barbecue, she'd have had to be hung, right? Yeah, I mean, seriously, there's some sins you just can't get over. But this one, you know, I forgave her and helped her find a new place to work. But wow. So that was sort of a cul-de-sac connected to the answer to you, Jay. Christina, did you have a comment? Here's the thing I want to ask for. Wins, so it's two W's, wins or works in progress. So what is it you'd like to tell us about, or what is it you're working on that we could help you with? Now, I know you've recently returned from a cruise celebrating your mother's 95th birthday. Wow. Wow. How was that? Where'd you cruise?
I don't have a lot of options because we cruise from Los Angeles area, so it's convenient for her. So it's just the Mexican Riviera cruise.
Yeah.
I never got off the ship,
Didn't?
but it was 10 of us, the family, and
What was the cruise line?
we did in December. I took her, just she and I and two other siblings. That was Royal Caribbean, and this time was a longer cruise through Princess.
Good. Paula and I and my sister and our son did a cruise years ago out of San Diego. And it was something like Bob and Fred's cruise line. You know, it was awful. Went down to Ensenada and back. And it was kind of like going to the bus station and playing the slot machines. Oh. So I know cruising can be bad, but it sounds like you chose well.
We had a good time. We had a really good time. And for those of you on the call, you haven't seen pictures of my mom, but if you saw her, you'd be like, there's no way she's 95.
Right.
Very active. She's all there. She does her hair, her makeup, her nails, her, she's very stylish. She's just a dynamo. She's
Yep.
starting to lose her memory a little bit, like her short-term memory,
Mhm.
which is understandable. And her hearing is definitely like not good, but I
Right.
mean, everything's got to go, something's got to go eventually as you're going out, right? So anyway, she's doing great.
And the
She's doing great.
beauty of that is, you know, you can tell by the photographs I've seen that she's still got the spirit she had 30 years ago. And I want to go back to something I shared with the group in a previous call. Someone had said, "How old are you?" And the person that I was listening to said, "I'm the same age I've always been, but my body's older." So I embraced that, because the more I thought about it, the more that felt true. I'm the same age I've always been since I've become an adult anyway, but my body is older. Because my interests haven't aged. You know, they've matured maybe. They're more sensible, or I don't know, more informed, but the spirit of me is still a playful kid. I just got older vehicle, right? Yeah. Okay. So Christina, working on anything that we can help you with particularly?
I'm working on something that is related to what Lisa Marie shared in helping Jay. I'm actually creating, it made me think of it, Lisa Marie, everything you were talking about. I call that a target campaign, right? Where,
Yeah.
and mine is essentially a 10 call process because it's 7 to 8 calls on average, et cetera. But anyway, you shared basically the dynamics of it. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm working on a customized training right now for a very large client, one of my largest last year. And it's a great monetization opportunity, Jim. It's excellent. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, feeling a bit overwhelmed because I have a lot of travel. I mean, including our summit, which I'm excited to go to, but other projects. I have a project with Apple coming up. So everything's kind of hitting in a row. And the project with Apple, by the way, it's not my own work. I'm working as a contractor for another organization. So
Yeah.
before you guys give me too much credit on that. But the idea is I have a lot of different projects going on at once and a lot of travel. And so I'm kind of in the process of just kind of figuring out my Saturday work program, my Sunday work program, and I'm just not, I'm working out because I try not to miss that. That's kind of important. And my spiritual practice is important, but everything else is out the window as far as pleasure or joy. So that's kind of my state of mind. If anyone has any ideas around that, but I also don't want to like suck the life out of this call. So I'd rather kind of focus on you guys if
One of
more
the-
pressing issues.
My resource for you is the book Mentor Minutes. Just go back to that, and the thought diet is the easy way to kind of pocket checklist, make sure you're not neglecting the areas that are going to need your attention pretty soon. Because, and you've heard me say this before, whatever we don't pay much attention to will, before long, step forward and demand all of our attention. So, just make sure that at least you give a nano attend to each item on a regular basis, so there aren't long time gaps in there. How's that wall chart serving you?
I really like it. I haven't been using it the past couple of weeks, but
It's kind of hard to do that from a cruise ship. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I forgot. Yeah, I haven't really been paying it much attention lately, but I do like it. And I get a lot of comments on it. It's very interesting when I'm on my Zoom calls or
Good.
development calls. It's very interesting. So it's a good conversation starter.
And whenever you're taking like a snack break or something at your desk, what I found useful, and I had one of those for like 30 years, maybe more, on my office wall. What I would do if I was just, let's say, taking a coffee break, I'd grab my coffee and I would just sit and look at the calendar. I wouldn't work. I would not engage my mind in an active thought. I would just look at the calendar and sip the coffee. And invariably, something about it would catch my attention. Like the colors, indicating work or family or whatever, personal and so forth. I would notice the mix between work and personal, or the mix between creative work and sales work, marketing work, that kind of thing, product development and product sales and so forth. And then I'd notice, because I used Avery labels, and I would put like ATL, which means that's in Atlanta. It was the airport codes, DFW, ATL, LAX. So I would put that in there, and the color indicated whether it was a green, paid engagement, yellow, which was kind of a light green yellow, which meant tentative, they hadn't confirmed yet, I don't have the deposit back, but it's a money thing. Red would be personal, and then I had other colors like NSA, National Speakers Association, had its own color because I was on the national board. And then I had like product development, I think was blue. And when I looked at the stickers, I could see whether I was going to be in another city or at home city. And I would put the sticker, the Avery label, in the little box for that day, top for morning, middle for noon, bottom for evening. So I could instantly tell you I've got an evening engagement in Philadelphia. I've got an afternoon engagement 2 days later in Atlanta. I've got nothing between that and the next week, and then I'm going to Phoenix. But knowing those things caused me to think of things like, oh, Phoenix, that's where Ken Remsen is. He's going to be there for a conference. So I shoot off a quick text to Ken, and he says, yeah, I got a half day. Let's get together. So, all kinds of great things, both social and business, came from simply letting the calendar look at me. Right? Ken, you're doing a lot of head nodding here.
Can I just interrupt? Christina?
Go
can you
ahead, Jay.
explain that- Can you explain that board, Christina? I'm curious. What is it?
Oh, this is, the title's a little crass. It's called the Big Ass Calendar 2024. But Jim and I, it was spurred from a conversation we had where he shared exactly what he just shared with the rest of you about what he used to do with a really large, kind of seeing everything in the year versus I can go to my digital, my Google Calendar, and I can see a month at a time, and I can move through the months very easily. And I utilize that very heavily, like my personal time scheduled in, my travel time, everything is in that calendar. But when I can step back and see, for me, a little bit different examples, but for me, I have some work that I do as a contractor through other companies. I have some work that's my own product, my own IP that I do. I have a lot of personal trips because my mother is older, so I do travel with her, or I go see her in California every 6 weeks. So I have these different things on my calendar, and then I have my prep time that I've blocked out, like Jim was talking about, for how long it takes me to create certain trainings or certain programs that I'm delivering, or a keynote or whatever it might be. So the idea is I can step back and look at it. The other thing I added, Jim, by the way, is paydays. Because then my husband, because I'm the sole income earner since he's retired, then he can actually see he does all the financials for our family, right? He can see at a distance, oh, we're getting a big paycheck on X number of days. I'm going to wait to buy that thing that's not needed right at the moment, but I really want, kind of thing.
You bet.
And to pay the bills and all that. So anyway, Jay, it's awesome. I love it. But it's
So
called,
12 months down, like each.
Well, let me jump in here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Dr. John Lee first presented this to the National Speakers Association back in 1980 or 79, maybe. And he was a time management expert, this time and motion study kind of a guy. And what he recommended, and I embraced for a generation, was an inverted, meaning January at the bottom to December at the top. Those are hard to find. Linear, first, second, third, 31st, that way, like Christina's is. Inverted linear annual wall calendar, laminated. So you can stick things on it, write things on it, whatever. It's best to use stickers. because if you're writing things on it, they're all written pretty much in the same color, or some are cursive, and so, you know, it's easier to use stickers. And John found a source of 18-month calendars. So when you got to the top, you're building toward December instead of winding down
Hmm.
toward December. That was the implication of the inverted, but it doesn't matter whether it's inverted or not, really. But you get to December, what I ended up doing at first was trimming 3 months off of that calendar and then stacking calendars on my wall. And that got to be awkward. And so I found the source for the 18-month calendars, and I could just chop off those months, move it up, and be ready to go. Inverted linear, 18 months, laminated, and color labels. And Avery makes those little round colored labels, and those are ideal for that. The ones that are about the size of a nickel, maybe a little larger, a little less than a quarter, a little more than a nickel. By the way, I have these pocket calendars, analog pocket calendars, going back to 1970,
Wow.
70. I can tell you where I was and many details about it for all of those years of my life. I do not line out the whole day in there. If it's a really busy day, you know, like this, that was travel and bookings and arrival and things like that. But the rest of it, I just put 1 or 2 things on the day. So throughout the calendar, it's populated, but it's not crammed in trying to do it like a written replica of a Google Calendar. I keep my calendar here. It's very handy in my iPhone and on my computer, but I can't flip the pages. And I can't just say, wait a minute, when would that was like, oh, that June the 6th, there you go. You can't do that digitally. You know, it's just, it doesn't work the same. So analog is your friend, but then again, so is digital, right? By the way, Christina, has Bruce told you about the order that I placed? Okay,
Yeah.
no sharing online, but
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. It is exciting. It's really cool.
Thank you. I'm ordering some special products from her husband, and it's not ready for prime time yet. Okay, here's what I wanted to share with you today. So let me hop over to my little screen share item. And I placed this in our, what you call it, group page on Facebook. And I put it in files. So this, I've told you about it before. 10 vital issues for bureaus and agents that work at bureaus. And I took, I did, this was sort of presumptive of me. I said, I'm going to teach, the professional speaker, am going to teach speakers bureaus how to run speakers bureaus. Very presumptive of me. But I had been president of the National Speakers Association. I had done more than 2,000 speeches at the time. I had worked with almost every major speakers bureau in the country and many others worldwide. I knew what I was talking about. I was doing 120 talks a year. So I had a big base of knowledge from which to work. So I wrote this manual, not about me, just about speakers and speakers bureaus and issues they deal with. So look at these issues. How do you sell a higher fee? How do you negotiate fees? What if somebody says, hey, could you, there'll be great exposure. We'll buy your lunch, so do it for free. Or is that negotiable? Meaning, will you drop your fee for no reason? Not here's something else we offer. They usually mean just, will you drop your fee? If they want an extra speech, like quick print, what was the name of it? There was a quick print place years ago. They booked me to speak in San Diego. I did their main platform keynote. And at the end of my keynote, the meeting planner, a woman, came over to me and handed me their brochure. She said, "You saw our brochure?" I said, "Yeah, you did a nice job of highlighting my keynote." She said, "Oh, you didn't see page 2?" No. So I go to page 2. It announces I'm doing another seminar, a breakout session, 1 hour, in about an hour and a half, unbeknownst to me. No one ever mentioned it to me. And I said, "Well, hang on a second. I mean, you didn't buy my whole day. You bought my keynote." She said, "Well, I just figured you'd want to do that." And I said, "I'm not going to even bother asking why you figured that, but okay, I'll do this, but there's going to be an extra fee." She said, "No, we're not paying an extra fee." I said, "Then I'm not going to do it." She said, "Okay, I'll just announce at the general session that you're unwilling to do it, that you refuse to do the afternoon breakout." So she put me in a very, very embarrassing situation. I sucked it up and did the program, and sold a few products, and rationalized it that it was worth it, but it wasn't worth it. And I was so ticked, so annoyed and offended by that became part of the teaching I was doing and other things like this. So anyway, other issues. Why should clients pay you first-class airfare, assuming that's what you charge, when their own company executives fly coach? And I have a good answer for that, by the way. And why would you want to give every audience member a book? We're giving them a folder, a portfolio, and a hat and a t-shirt, and a custom pin, and so forth. So I put all these things in there, and they're all in very specific detail that tells you exactly how to do them. And I think that you will find this enlightening and helpful. For example, someone says to you, "Okay, Jim, look, we've got $24,000, and we want you to do 4 engagements for us." All right. So $24,000, 4 engagements. And so we'll pay you $4,000 for, my math's getting screwed up in my head. Anyway, we're gonna pay you a discounted rate on each of these engagements. Now, if it's worth it to me to do the engagements at the fee they stated, even though it's less than my normal fee today is $18,000 for a keynote, but back then it would, that would have worked. Then I give them the discount on the final engagement, not prorated. Why? Because many times people would say, "Lisa Marie, we're going to book you for 3 engagements. I know your fee is $10,000. So would you do the 3 engagements for $22,000? And you say, "Yeah." So you're giving them an $8,000 discount. How do you bill them? 10, 10, 2. And they said, "Well, no, we're just prorated." You hadn't earned it yet. Only after I've done and been paid for the first one and the second one is the third one worth discounting. So when you offer your discount, don't prorate the payments with the discount. Put the discount on the last item so that it's earned and they can't back out and say, "Oh, we rescheduled that. We'll get back to you later." No, you just ate the loss, right? So that's just an item. But here, I'm going back to screen share. Give you one more item here. This comes from Kristen Arnold. Kristen Arnold was president of the National Speakers Association a few years ago. And the other day on a call with the Hall of Fame speakers, she shared this, and I thought it was really nicely done. So it's compensation strategies on the philosophy. I want to be fair to the clients who've paid my full fee. What could you give me in return for the discount that goes beyond what the clients who pay my full fee would do? So that's a question you would ask. There's other things. How do you negotiate the fee? Could you expand the scope of the engagement, do more for them, and that would justify discounting parts of it? Can you exchange value? Like I was speaking for Command Music Company. They owned Takamine and Ovation guitars. You can see this coming. I took $12,000 of my fee in guitars. So it costs them whatever it costs to produce the guitars, not what it sold for. So they got full retail trade value for only production cost. So there's that. Product sales, exposure, special promotion, media promotion, sponsorship. Like if you're doing a freebie for a charity, if they're selling sponsorships, like a gold sponsorship gets you a table for 10 and signage and access to the VIP luncheon, then if you're the free speaker, do it in return for a gold sponsorship that would be worth the equivalent of your fee, or silver or whatever. You get the concept? Okay. Referrals. Now, not, hey, we'll tell other people about you. No. I want personal letters from you to other people that will open doors for me. Will you do that? Yes. Okay. So that's worth a discount. Special favors or treats. You can stay an extra weekend at the resort that we're having our meeting at. And, you can bring your spouse along. Like one time I was speaking for, I'll think of the name of the company, but they said, Jim, we want you to come and speak on a Windjammer cruise in the Caribbean. And we'd like you to stay with us for the whole cruise. Gee, where does it start? St. Thomas. Gosh, that's a long flight. Yeah, I know. We'll put you up in a hotel the night you get there, and then you can board the ship the next day. And there's only going to be 75 people on the ship. So it's, and not Windjammer, Windstar, I think it was. But anyway, had sails on top. And they said, how about this, Jim? Bring your wife, Paula. We'll fly you to St. Thomas first class, round trip. And you'll hop on the boat with us, and you will sail all the way down to Antigua, I think it was. And then you can fly out of there on a little shuttle and then fly back home. And as a bonus, you and Paula with us the whole time, and you're doing a 1-hour speech. As a bonus, we will give you a round trip for 2 to London. And you return from London to New York portion on the Queen Mary 2. That was one sweet deal. And I said, well, absolutely yes. And I refused to do a 1-hour speech. And they said, why? I said, because I'm going to be there for almost a week. So I want to do the 1-hour speech, but I also want to hold some discussion sessions with the people to facilitate the learning that they're getting from me and others. And they said, okay. And they loved me and I loved them, and God's in heaven and all's right with the world. I mean, sweet deal. But if you can upserve without upselling, then you increase their satisfaction. and you don't have to worry about increasing the transaction. So I will assure that each of you get the creative compensation strategies item from Kristen Arnold. And the other one's already in our files. So there you go. Back to you. Questions, requests, or just something for the good of the order? Lisa Marie, how about you?
I'm good right now. I don't have any questions. I think I shared the last time I had submitted not one, not two, but three large proposals, and there was and two of them Tom Ziegler worked with me on, and two of them were like, yeah, we're gonna wait till next year, or yeah, we're gonna wait till 6 months. And I'm like, really? And I don't mean just a paper proposal. I mean a full-blown PowerPoint, just, but I've got a big one coming up Tuesday morning. So just a lot going on. I just made the decision to step away from, I think I told you this before, all this system. I got to do this first, this, and just get out there and talk to a lot of people
There you
and
go.
go to networkings and do more volunteering and reordered business cards, and
Good.
it's more fun now. But
Yeah.
yeah, so anyway, that's kind of what's going on, and so that's where I am. Don't have anything specific, but
Okay.
it's been interesting. Thank you.
Ken, how about you?
Yeah, everything's going fine. I don't really have anything yet. Like I say, I'm going to be concentrating and focusing on a business plan to kind of get focused, and
Yep.
I have some time frames in mind, and probably I'll meet with you at
Send
some
me
point in
send
time.
me any,
Yep.
if you're
Yep,
got a working document, send it
I'm
to
working on it.
me, give your
Yep.
feedback, and I'll send it back.
Yep, I'm working on it. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jay, how about you? Sotto voce.
I've got nothing, I've got nothing for you. I wanted to let you know I was engaged, like I said, and gave you the Walmart question, so I'm good to
Man,
go.
I'm
Always,
so happy for you on that. God bless you.
thank you,
May,
Jim.
may it be an abundantly love-filled experience for eternity for both of you.
As they say, from your mouth to God's ears.
There you
I
go.
agree with it, yeah.
Okay, got it.
You have a special connection, huh? Right.
There you
to the
go.
big
Well,
man.
yeah, I mean, he comes by every day or two. Yep. Christina, how about you?
I'm good, Jim. Thanks.
I cannot wait to see you and all the others in La Jolla for the awareness of the other folks who aren't going to this one. This has come together so nicely. There's 21 people going to be there. 21 people. And not all of those are enrolled. Some of those are faculty members. But Brian Tracy, for example, Brian's a big name. Agreed? Brian Tracy's name is big, like Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and Les Brown. Big name. Well, I sent Brian an invitation to drop in during our summit and just meet the people and shake hands. And if he wanted to share an idea or so, that'd be nice. He responded by saying, "How much do I owe you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I want to pay my own way. I want to enroll." I said, "You're Brian freaking Tracy. No, you may not enroll. You will cause other people to enroll just because your name's on the list." And no. And he said, "Well, okay." He said, "But how can I help?" And I said, "Well, just, come and join us one morning and share some ideas." So he mulls it over and looks over the agenda, responds to me day before yesterday. "Barbara and I will be there for the whole thing. The entire event. Sunday night, Monday morning, Monday night, and Monday noon for lunch. Tuesday morning and evening, and Wednesday morning." Wow. So, that's going on. The there are 21 people who have now qualified for CPE, Certified Professional Expert. And so those first 21 certificates will be awarded at the dinner on Tuesday night, May the 7th. And we're taking over a little bistro restaurant called Candor by Giuseppe Ciuffa, who I knew when he was working for another guy who owned the place when it was a coffee shop. Anyway, it's going to be a fun evening, and we're going to have a little bit of press coverage and, you know, do some really cool things. And not all of the recipients will be there, but some of them will be, like Brian, like Tony Alessandra, you know, and some other folks are going to be there.
Hey, excuse me, I've got a 3 o'clock waiting on
Okay.
me. Y'all have a great weekend. Have
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
gotta run.
The house we're in is just a dream location. I mean, it's a little long in the tooth. It's been there for a while, but it's in one of the premier locations on earth. And in the promotional photographs for La Jolla, you can see this house in most every one of their major promotional photos. And it's right across the street from the water. And we've got some excursions planned and upgrades happening every day. So you're going to have a good time, Christina.
Yay. So
We've
did
got
you get to your 12 number you were hoping to get for participants?
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
And that's our max, right?
Oh, I could shoehorn a couple of people in, but I'm good. Yeah. If you've
Jim,
got somebody, by all means, have them reach out. Yes, Jay?
I have a Zoom meeting right now, so I'm gonna,
Okay.
but I will see you next Friday.
You got it.
Okay. See you
We'll
later.
wrap it up. Yeah. Christina and I may talk for a second,
Okay.
but take care.
Bye,
Bye, Jim.
Jay.
Bye, Christina.
All right. Let me stop the recording.